At the mention of organized crime in the United States, many people think of associations with Chicago gangsters in striped suits, hats, and cigars in their mouths. This image of the American Mafia is a classic of the genre. In fact, everything looks much more prosaic, and definitely without a trail of criminal romance. Prior to the introduction of Prohibition in the United States in the early 20th century, the term organized crime had never been used in the country. Until that moment, only scattered gangs with different numbers operated in the country. They mainly consisted of immigrants from Italy, Ireland, and Poland. The bandits kept certain city blocks at bay, engaging in petty theft, extortion, and racketeering in them, but did not have a widely branched criminal network. Such small bandit groups were often used by politicians for their own specific purposes. After the entry into force in 1920 of Prohibition in the criminal environment of America, there were fundamental changes. Crime has acquired new forms, has become more ramified and organized. Now criminal elements began to set themselves larger tasks than raids on lonely passers-by on dark streets or robberies of shops and warehouses. The most qualitative change affected the relationship between gangsters and politicians. Now the latter began to work for the bandits, and not vice versa, as it was before. They have become a tool in achieving the goals of gangster clans as well as corrupt police officers, customs officers, and municipal employees. The main thing is that professional lawyers and accountants began to work for criminal groups. The criminally obtained income of bandits from some miserable hundreds or thousands of bucks grew overnight to millions of dollars a month or even a week. Establishing the supply of smuggled goods and drugs to the country, the criminals began to think about transport logistics and investments in legal business. The process of mass merging of small street gangs into large, well-organized criminal cartels has begun. At the time of the abolition of Prohibition in the United States in 1933, a powerful network of mafia clans already existed in the country. The transport and logistics chains they built were reoriented from the supply of smuggled alcohol to the country for drugs and weapons. Most of the criminal gangs that exist in the United States are formed along ethnic lines. African American criminal communities are considered the most numerous among them. They are followed by East Asian gangs and Hispanics in terms of prevalence and number. Along with them, Slavic, Italian, Albanian, Turkish and other criminal groups operate in America. All of them have extensive international connections and are transnational crime syndicates. As of 2011, there were more than 33,000 gangs operating in the United States with varying numbers of members. In total, more than 1.5 million people are involved in criminal activities in the country. Until the early 90s of the last century, the most active were the gangs operating in the northeastern states of the country. By 2008, crime in them began to decline. At that time, there were approximately 600 gangs operating there, with a total number of about 17,000 people. The most dangerous of them conducted their criminal activities in Pennsylvania. Among them were the Federations, Creeps, Latin Kings, MS-13, Mara Salvatrucha, Nita, and Blood. The specificity of the United States is the presence in this country of gangs that use the structures of motorcycle clubs for their criminal activities. Some of them are completely gangster. The ATF estimates that there are about 300 such motorcycle gangs in the United States. Many large criminal groups were formed from youth street gangs. The most famous of them operate in the Midwest. These include NJCK or North Jersey Cross Kids. Illegal migrants are a serious fuel for criminal groups. For many of them, gang membership is their only source of livelihood. Latin gangs first appeared in the United States in the 40s of the last century. They included Mexicans and Puerto Ricans. Lawin is considered the most cruel and powerful Latin American gang. The original goal of organizing Latinos into gangs was to fight racism and discrimination, but very quickly they turned from the vanguard of their communities into ordinary criminal gangs. East African gangs operate in more than 30 states of the country. They are divided into Somalis, Sudanese, and Ethiopians. The Gang of People from Sudan African Pride stands out from them with its aggressiveness. The east coast of the country is dominated by Caribbean ethnic gangs. The most famous of them is Trinitarios. She is involved in the drug trade in the New York and New Jersey area. The most ingenious criminal formations consist of immigrants from Jamaica. They lack a hierarchical system for building relationships in gangs. In addition to male and mixed gangs in the United States, there are purely female groups. According to various sources, they range from 2 to 10%. A new trend in the development of modern American organized crime is the online network of criminal and extremist groups. In a special report by the FBI in 2007, it was noted that the bandits encouraged members of their groups who went to serve in the army in order to learn the methods of urban combat. Then this knowledge was transferred to other gang members. Criminal gangs also exist in the U.S. Army. They are engaged in the theft of weapons and ammunition and their sale. All of them pose a serious threat to the security of the country. Thank you for your attention. Stay with us on the channel.